Welcome back, everyone. In today's video, we're diving into everything that went down in Lioness Season 2, Episode 7. From jaw-dropping twists to emotional moments, we're breaking it all down and uncovering the deeper implications of what's next. Stick around to relive the drama and share your thoughts in the comments below. Previously in the spy thriller series, Jo discovered that she had been shot during the border interception. Although she didn't notice it until she was on the plane going home, her injury quickly went from bad to worse. In the end, she lost consciousness and had to be carried by the surgical response team, and according to Caitlin, there's still no prognosis for Jo. The crew has been pursuing Los Tigres, a Mexican drug group that is supposedly under Chinese intelligence control. This was established in Episode 1, while Josefina's main subplot was introduced in Episode 2. The U.S. side is using her as an asset. She is the cartel leader's niece. Although she is a loyal soldier, her conflict has caused several unpleasant hiccups, such as with Jo, the unit leader. We discover that there are stronger connections to child smuggling networks, Iranian nuclear war plans, and the betrayal of a Mexican special agent through Episodes 3, 4, and 5. How could Lioness Season 2, Episode 7 get worse as Jo battles for her life after being shot? In order to discuss the problem of the strike team ambush, Edwin comes to visit Byron. Byron thinks the suicide bombers were Iranian-Chinese counterintelligence, so he wants to discover why they were at the border. In addition, he believes there is supposed nuclear activity between the two countries in Tehran and that there is a plot to destabilize the border in order to sway the election. There is no commander and the enemy is at the gate. Even if it damages their jobs, Edwin wants to slam the gate shut. Jo woke up at the hospital in a condition of frenzied panic in the meanwhile. Neil and the girls are present as the doctor tells that Jo's cell phone piece, not a gunshot, caused the damage. For the next week, she's prohibited from engaging in any strenuous activities, which hits her like a lead balloon. Neil tells Jo that she will kill him if she dies in combat, and Jo calls her calling Neil in Episode 6 cruel. Jo's reaction? If he isn't strong enough, leave her or get a divorce. Despite Jo's apparent desire to go, she assures Neil that everything must be done according to her wishes. She has taken the pledge and is not abandoning her responsibilities lightly. Byron shows up to learn more about the ambush. Instead of actually harming the team, Jo believes the bombers were there to prevent them from being an asset. Similar to what Caitlin has been doing, Byron assigns Jo to direct the mission. Jo finds it difficult to give up ground control, and Byron doesn't give her an option. Our Mexican special agent is among the captives being held when Kyle and Caitlin arrive. To find out if he is lying, they are administering a polygraph exam to him. He denies accepting a bribe, but he won't say if he reported the conduct. We eventually learn that he didn't since he murdered Keith Roberts, the person who offered the proposition. He explains that the drug problem is far more serious than any of them and is basically out of control. Caitlin speaks with the Taft housekeeper, who is under protective custody. Before they decide what to do next, she orders Kyle to clean up the mess. The team has confirmed that they must be taken off the site since they are working with a messy time bomb. Before traveling to see our polygraph victim, Caitlin recommends a secure location in Costa Rica. In essence, she agrees that they are back on the same side to complete what they began when she asks how they go past this and establish common ground. While Cruz and Josefina reach Cruz's home in North Carolina, the crew transports Pablo to Costa Rica. As they discuss what transpired, Josefina worries that no matter how the mission turns out, she will never be off the hook with Pablo. Physical violence in both families is obviously a commonality between the two, which strengthens their bond. They are ready to share a kiss when the door is knocked on. When Bobby and the guys arrive, he explains that their base hold is not prepared with any lodging. Caitlin pays Jo a visit at the hospital in Washington. Jo's goal was to bring down the cartel, not to stop children from being transported, and Caitlin is coming in hot. She has failed in every way. She wants to find a new target as soon as possible. Jo is prepared to disregard the doctor's recommendations to take a break and return to work right away. Josefina believes she is solely to blame, but Cruz believes the expedition is being halted because of her involvement in the previous episode. When Jo gets home, she's unimpressed by Neil's thoughtful attention to her welfare. He tries to convey how fragile her health is, but she has already left for work, which infuriates him. Jo's reaction? At last, she gave Neil more details about her work, including the kid smuggling ring. She heads to the CIA, using that as an excuse for not sleeping. She has come for the briefing, and Byron is furious about it. They are discussing the nuclear developments between Iran and China, namely the shipment of weaponry to Tehran. Jo is unclear about the goal, although there is a U.S. base nearby where their site is. Showing both nations that they are not the only ones with open borders is essentially a new one. In the end, Josefina is finally put to use for her training as a helicopter pilot, and Team Lioness is heading in to strike Team This. There is a severe restriction. Strikes must occur in Iran so they can see how far we can reach, not in Iraq. Caitlin is told she can just observe and advise when Joe persuades Byron and Caitlin to assume leadership. The repercussions are far more severe if everything goes wrong. Joe is also prohibited from leaving the Iranian base. Byron clarifies what Edwin stated during their initial discussion. Since there isn't any formal CIA approval in this case, there is some degree of deniability in the event that something goes wrong. Joe is advised by Caitlin to be aware of her strengths and weaknesses in order to avoid becoming a liability. Cruz and Josefina are finally kissing for the first time back at Cruz's place when their phones ring. All the squad knows is that they are returning to Iraq, but they have no idea why. Joe arrives at the plane, suit and boots, to meet the team, but they are also meeting with another team. Joe responds that she's here to save the day when Josefina inquires about her involvement. When Joe phones Neil, he hears the plane in the background and becomes irritated with her. Furious that he didn't prioritize the females, he hangs up. She declares as she boards the aircraft that she has no idea how long she will be gone.